Mike McDaniel has been the perfect coach for the Miami Dolphins, and in this video, I'm going to talk exactly what he's doing well and why he works well with the talent that he has, because it's not just him with scrubs. He has some great talented players out there, including the quarterback, and how he's using Tua's talents to succeed. So let's talk about all of it, and we're going to start off with this play, which I love this play. It's a great Tua play, which I didn't see when I made my video about Tua this week because I didn't have the all-22. I only had the broadcast footage, but now that I see that the all-22, this is a great play and something we're seeing the Miami Dolphins do a decent deal now, and for good reason. It's working out really well. So the way this play works is it appears as though it's a man coverage play. I mean, I was convinced this was a man coverage play, and that's good news, right? They have a man coverage beater on this play where you have your two receivers who are lined up closest towards the sideline are going to run routes kind of getting over the middle, and then Jalen Waddle is going to run a route that's going to get outside the numbers. That play right there, that route, that's the one that you expect can get open. But again, this is if what I'm reading on the play pre-snap is correct, man coverage. But I misread this. This is actually a really good disguise by Chicago. This is not going to be man coverage. This is actually what they're doing instead. It's going to be a zone coverage play, meaning that kind of all the traffic going with, two players going towards the sideline, running over the middle, and then the player who's closest towards the middle, running towards the sideline. All that chaos isn't really going to hurt the Bears at all because they're just supposed to cover their zone, not a specific guy. However, that's what makes this concept so good. It's very simple, but it makes a ton of sense, which is just because you set up to beat man doesn't mean this concept can't beat zone. That route right there is a route that's going to get into a gap in coverage. So you basically have a route that can win in any of these circumstances, assuming it's still going to be cover two, which you can see the two safeties deep, so you feel pretty good that that's at least going to be the case. And even if it wasn't, this route still could work. These are the kind of things that, in my opinion, good coaches do, which is they kind of coach in a way that, man coverage or zone coverage, you still should be in pretty good shape. But now let's see what happens when this play begins. Tua takes the snap. You see that it's about to get open. This is working. The issue, of course, is Tua has to make this read. You have to trust that Tua can be able to make this read, because if he can't, well, then they could be in a tough spot. Again, just because the play concept works doesn't mean that the play concept is going to work. You have to trust that your personnel is smart enough to read the situation and know what to do, but this is where the brightness of Tua comes in. He was drafted by being a high IQ football player, and he's showing it here. Watch Tua make this throw, and they're able to pick up a big chunk play on that one. It's great coaching, it's great route running, and it's great decision making from Tua. I mean, when you have those three things, your offense is going to look pretty good, and this is exactly why the Mike McDaniel offense is just working at such a high level right now. Again, something like this is another great example of it's literally going to be the exact same thing, but with a slight twist now. So now the Bears aren't just lined up in man coverage, they are playing man coverage. And so because of that, it's now Tyreek Hill running that route that's going to get outside the numbers. But this time you can now use the play concept the way that it appears to be designed on paper. Because of that, you're going to see Tyreek Hill is going to eventually get to the outside. Tua makes this throw, and Hill just gets wide open right there. I mean, that's just, no one's covering that against Tyreek Hill. You just can't cover that. But you now have a concept that is great against either coverage, man or zone. This concept is fantastic. It kind of goes back to the point of really what you have to do is make sure you have a safety over the top of Tyreek Hill. They had a safety deep, but that safety moved over the middle. That's really what you have to do. But then you're still leaving, potentially Jalen Waddle one-on-one. It's just a tough team to cover against. They just are. Not to mention the simple stuff. I mean, this is stuff that Tua does at such a high level, and it's stuff that, part of why I think we all really liked this Mike McDaniel fit with the Dolphins is that exactly what Mike McDaniel likes to do perfectly fits Tua's skill set. This is why kind of in the offseason, we all felt like Tua was one of the biggest winners of the offseason because of getting Tyreek Hill and getting Mike McDaniel. Something like this. You're running a play action. You have a receiver running over the middle. Tua takes the snap. Tua is going to wait a second for the play to develop, but not much. I mean, again, I highlighted this in my Tua video, but you see how quick he is at getting rid of the football. The receiver, who is Jalen Waddle on this play, is not in that gap in coverage just yet, but Tua is already in the throwing motion. He trusts his receiver will get there, and when you're all just executing on a high level, it works out. I mean, watch how when Tua does make this throw, it's wide open at that point. So again, a lot of people are kind of holding things against Tua, saying, oh, you're hitting wide open receivers. But he's hitting wide open receivers because A, his coach is putting him in a great position to succeed, which is what good coaches do. And B, he's making good plays as well. So again, part of it is Mike McDaniel saying, hey, I have this guy who's good at this stuff. Well, let's run this stuff. It makes sense. As for the running game, the running game has been maybe a bit of a disappointment this season because we've seen how well the Shanahan scheme can work for the running game, but we're still seeing some flashes. Something like this where I've circled the one Chicago Bear player who is going to be unblocked, who's in the box right here. So you can't block everybody, right? So when there's only one safety deep, you can't block everybody, meaning that guy is unblocked here. And one of the ways that you can get around this is by running away from him. Another way you can do it is by just trying to fool him. Watch how when Tua takes the snap, you're going to see the handoff, and I mean, he just got fooled right there. He was expecting something closer towards the outside, making sure he, playing his gap, but because of this, now he's the one unblocked guy. Everyone else has made their blocks. There's a window to make this run if you're Jeff Wilson. Wilson does make this run, and they're able to pick up a good chunk play there. So that's kind of one thing you're hoping for if you are the Dolphins, is that these types of plays can become more and more common, and I think they will be. I think that, he's going to keep trying this stuff, and it absolutely is going to work out at times. And it's also one of those things where it's like, I break down this type of play a decent amount, but it's really less about the play itself and more about the timing of the play. So the play itself is a play action, and you have a receiver running over the middle. That's the way this play works. It's Tyreek Hill who's going to get over the middle. So, okay, get the ball in his hands in open space. That can work out. He's obviously very good at this stuff. But the reason these plays can work is if the linebackers move in, then the play works. If linebackers don't move in, the play typically does not work. And so that's kind of the question on this play. Are you going to get the linebackers to move in? And I think that's actually a great example of, if you want to know how good a play caller is, notice how hard the linebackers bite on play action. That's a great example, because if they believe it's a running play and it's a passing play, they're going to bite in hard. If you're not a very good play caller and they can kind of predict the play action that's coming, they're not going to bite in hard. And look at how hard they bite in here. I mean, they completely get themselves out of position. That wasn't even close. They were convinced it was a running play. So when Tua does have the football, I mean, this is as open as you will see, but it's open because of a good play call. Of course, Tua is not going to miss that throw. Tyreek Hill is not going to drop that pass. They pick up a big chunk play. And so, yes, I think some people will say, well, any coach would do good in this situation. You have a good quarterback, two fantastic wide receivers. Good does not even do them justice. Two amazing wide receivers. Any coach is, even a good tight end, any coach is going to be successful. Well, maybe. I mean, probably, right? Any coach, I think, in the NFL would still have some success, but I don't know how many coaches are having the success that Mike McDaniel is having with these guys. I mean, if you think about it, with Tyreek Hill is doing, my podcast co-host Kyle brought this up, he's doing better this season than he did any year with Kansas City. I mean, how is that possible that you go away from Patrick Mahomes and you go into this situation and improve? Well, it's possible because this is a better situation for him. I mean, it's actually a better fit than we saw in Kansas City because it utilizes more of his skill sets than just the deep shots and stuff like that. And I think that, Tua is kind of the perfect quarterback for him, which is, again, totally not what we thought we would say this past offseason. It was Mahomes was the perfect quarterback for him. Well, it turns out kind of a lot of quarterbacks are the perfect quarterback for him because he does so much well. And I think the biggest thing is that Mike McDaniel is just a great coach that can utilize him perfectly. And again, Tyreek Hill's gotten some pass interferences too. Like, his yardage totals could be even higher in this situation. He had a big pass interference drawn in this one. So he's playing at such a high level. He is such a talented receiver. Mike McDaniel is coaching at a high level. He's probably my pick for coach of the year. He probably is. I think halfway through the season, he's been at there's a lot of good coaches, but he's been great. So that's what I think. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments below. Always love hearing from y'all. And of course, as always, thanks for watching.